Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome back to this second part. So we'll see all these tools, resources or prompts in action. Okay. So for this, so as I have already mentioned, the recommended way is this Docker. So I have already pulled the Docker image and I have already configured the prerequisite. Okay. So this is the Docker image and the prerequisite to get started is my Git password. So this is my personal access token. Okay, so which I will be using to onboard the repository, and from that repository I will be going to onboard the application which is part of that repository. Okay, and this is the auth token. Okay, and the auth token, how you will generate the auth token? So I have already given the script. Okay, so go to this source code. Okay, this ArgoCD MCP server. Under ArgoCD MCP server, there is a folder known as scripts. Okay, so just run this script. So there are two things which you need to pass or set as an environment variable before running this script. Okay, so the where is the server located? The Argo server, ArgoCD server, the username ArgoCD username and the password. Okay, and if your ArgoCD you have hosted it locally, then set it as false. Okay, then the self-signed certificate validation will not happen. Okay, so this is how you will be generating the ArgoCD token, which eventually be utilized in order to authenticate this ArgoCD server. So my ArgoCD server is up and running. There is currently no applications, and if you go to settings, so there is no repository configured or the projects. Okay, so let's onboard some repository, create one project. Okay, and let's tie one application into that project. So let me run the ArgoCD server. So my MCP server has started. Okay, by default. Okay, so it is listening on 8770. This is the URL which one needs to configure at the client side. Okay, so for this I will be using anti-gravity as an MCP client. So I have already configured this ArgoCD MCP server. So this is how you will be doing configuration at the ArgoCD at the client level. So the server URL is this. Disabled is false. If I will make it true, then all the tools or the functionality which this ArgoCD MCP server poses, by default it will get disabled. Okay, and if you want to disable specific tool bases, then you can make an entry of individual tools. Okay, so just refresh this tool set. So now see the 29, there are currently 29 tools which is rightly been identified by this MCP client. Okay, so let's create any repository, or let's onboard first any GitHub repository. Okay, so for this I have already forked one Helm example application. Okay, so at my current account or the current repository. Okay, and let's onboard this application, so the example one. Okay, so I will basically onboard this repository by HTTPS. Okay, so let me copy this URL. We go to anti-gravity and say, can you help me onboarding this repository at ArgoCD. Let's see if it identifies the right tool. Okay, so it has identified the right tool and it has invoked this ArgoCD repository HTTPS, and now it says I have successfully onboarded this repository. Okay, and this is the response which it has passed, and from there it come to know that this ArgoCD repository or this GitHub repository has been onboarded. Okay, and let us verify it. Okay, so we'll go to setting and see the repository has been onboarded. Okay, let me create one project first and let's tie this repository to this project. Okay, we'll again go to anti-gravity. Can you create a demo project and tie this repository? So it has initiated this tool called create project. Okay, description is demo project. The project name it has identifies is demo project. The source repository is this. Okay, and in the output it has invoked this tool, and now it says created successfully. You can now create application scope to this project. Okay, so you will verify on project saying this demo project has already been created and this repository is already been tied to this project. Okay, so let's now onboard any applications. Okay, so the application which I want to onboard is this Helm, the application which is part of this Helm chart. Okay, so let me copy this path and we'll go to Gravity and say just onboard the hello world application which is located in this path under this newly created project. So again, let's see if it identifies the actual tool to onboard the application. Okay, and the tool which I am looking is create application. See, it has identified. So the app name is hello world, which I have given as part of prompt. Okay, cluster name is in cluster default, destination server is this one. Okay, path I have already specified. So this is the path where the actual Helm chart is located. The project is this and the URL is this. Okay, and it says I have successfully created your application and I have linked to demo project and set up the path to this one. Okay, let us verify it. Okay, can you show me the actual, can you show me the details of this application, whether it has been onboarded successfully or not. So it has triggered this get application details and it says yes, the hello world application has been successfully onboarded, and this is the response which it get when it triggers this tool call. Okay, let's check the pod logs. Can you show me the application logs as well and events? So get application event is the tool which shows the events. So right now these are the events, ArgoCD events. Okay, and this is get application logs, the actual pod log. Okay, so I check the event and logs to your application. Events is a sequence of this. Logs, there are currently no logs available. This is because application sync status is currently out of sync and missing. Okay, so can you help me in syncing this application then? So now it has initiated the sync call and it says operation initiated. Okay, health is healthy. Okay, let's see on the UI. See, so application has already been successfully onboarded, sync is okay, and this is the pod, right? And if we will re-trigger that prompt, can you show me the application logs then? So now it has again re-triggered this tool call, and now it has fetched this application logs, right? Healthy and serving request. Okay, and this is the same thing, right? Auto sync is not enabled. Okay, so let's update this application and let's update auto sync to get enabled. Okay, by default. Can you help me in enabling auto sync to true by default? So it has identified, in order to enable auto sync to true, I need to call this update application, right? And I have successfully enabled auto sync for your Hello World application. And see, auto sync is enabled now. Perfect, right? This is how individual tools uh, works as a workflow. Before ending this demo, I will quickly show you the real magic. Okay, so because I have written this tool and I know how to work on ArgoCD, that's why I was giving this prompt. So let's suppose in your team or on your developer side, anyone wants to onboard application into Kubernetes and wants to use ArgoCD, okay, but he or she doesn't feel comfortable in working with ArgoCD, then how the person can onboard or use this MCP server, okay? So the way which I have written this MCP server is kind of workflow, okay? So you can choose tools corresponding to your workflow. Let's suppose your workflow is onboarding application. That means first you need to re-verify that existing application is there, okay? Then you need to create the project, then you need to associate the project with that application, then you need to pass that application, okay, the path where the Helm chart or the manifest file is there, okay? So this is the workflow, and I have already demoed how one should be using individual tools in order to accomplish that workflow, okay? As I have already mentioned that this tools or the MCP server comes with some kind of prompt, right? And the prompts are, so these are the available prompts. When I say prompts, these are nothing but a workflow. So to onboard any GitHub repository, so 4 tools will be working in parallel to accomplish this task, okay? If you want to onboard full application deployment, then 11 tools or resources in parallel to tools, there will be couple of resources which will be working in parallel to accomplish the application onboarding, right? Same goes for this one, okay? Suppose you don't know anything about ArgoCD yet, you want to onboard your application via this MCP server. So all you need to do is on your client, okay? So this time I will use cursor, okay, to execute that workflow, okay? So let me refresh this connection, okay? 29 tools, 7 prompts are there. So let's trigger this prompt, okay, onboard GitHub repository, or so before this, let's clean up the application or the repository which we have already onboarded, okay? Okay, can you help me in cleaning up the application repository and project which you have onboarded? So this way we will be going to test the individual cleanup tools, okay? So it is deleting the application. Now it is deleting the project and the repository, okay? So if we'll go to ArgoCD UI, so all the application which was onboarded, so it got deleted. Same goes for repository and project, right? Yeah. So now let's automate this workflow of creation of application, repository and project, okay? And the way which we will be doing is via executing that prompt, okay? So we'll go to doc, onboard GitHub repository. So we'll say onboard GitHub repository. So it asks for repo URL. We'll go and copy this repository URL and go to cursor and put this. Authentication method is HTTPS. Project name, by default we haven't created any project, so let it be default, and let's hit enter. See, now what it is doing, So whatever the prompt or instruction was there, it is following all this instruction and running all the tools corresponding to that instruction. Okay, so first it is validating the repository connection. Okay, so as such, okay, so I think I have entered wrong URL, right? Yeah, validation was HTTPS, so I have entered wrong URL. Okay, let me copy the correct one. Okay, let's again initiate this prompt. Onboard GitHub repository, repo URL is this here, auth method is this, and project name is default. And let's see this. So repository connection successful. Okay, git repository, and the repository is already onboarded and connected. See, now it is saying, so the other action is create application, update or list. Okay, so before this, let's create the project. Okay, for the project we have a workflow known as full application rollback setup ArgoCD project. This one, setup ArgoCD project. Project name will, let's this time we'll say hello world. Team name is DevOps. Allowed repository is this one. Namespace, let it be default, and let's hit enter. Okay, so whatever the tools which will be part of this prompt, it has started executing. See, okay, so now as per the instruction, it has listed the project, it has found one project. Okay, now it has initiated that create projects. Okay, by passing all this information, then again it has validated that the project has created or not, and then it has generated that manifest file. So if you want, you can copy this manifest file and save it in your GitHub. Okay, so next time you don't need to recreate this project. So this is the details, right? Okay. Now let's onboard applications. Okay, so for this we'll go for full application deployment. Repository URL is again this one. Yeah, this one. Application name is hello world. Cluster name is default. Namespace, let it be default. Path where the manifest file is located. We'll copy this path. Project name is we have created this project hello world. Okay. Now let's hit enter. Okay, see, so whatever the instruction which was part of this prompt, it has started executing in order. Okay, see, so repository onboarding is done, then ArgoCD application creation is done, then it is previewing the deployment diff, then it is performing the initial sync, because by default the sync is disabled, then it is monitoring, then it is doing the post deployment validation. Okay, see, so one don't need to be expert on the ArgoCD, but if you are using this ArgoCD MCP server, all you need to do is execute this prompt by giving those prerequisites or the parameter. See? And it says the application is deployed, right? Let's see. See, the application is deployed, onboarded to ArgoCD, it is up and running. Insane, right? Okay, yeah, so this is how this ArgoCD and tools works. This is for this demo, and I will see you on the next one. And of course the next one is, if you will see from the initial journey, so we have covered Helm. Then once Helm is done, then we have covered this ArgoCD, where the application onboarding is done. Then what's next? Managing of deployment. Yeah, that's next. Bye.